and welcome to Local Edition. I'm Leslie Leyton. The Angels baseball team in the city in Anaheim are working out a deal that would either keep the Angels in Anaheim or let them go. They're hammering out the details with us now, the Mayor Pro Tem of Anaheim, Kris. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Now, a lot of back and forth. Where does it stand right now? What's on the table?
Well, let me first say we are 100% focused on keeping Angels baseball in Anaheim for the very long term. We are working on renegotiating their lease. They had an opportunity to opt out, as most Major League Baseball teams do in their lease agreements with cities around the country. That was coming up. So we've started those negotiations because we want to secure them in Anaheim for the very long term.
Now, what are the details? I know there's a lease of $1 a year or something like that.
No, actually, that's really been misreported. There were two negotiating documents. There are framework documents that the council considered to begin the negotiations process.
Oh, so what are the bullet points that the concessions that Anaheim would give to the Angels and that the Angels would give back?
Well, there are a couple of hard parameters that we have to work with the team on. One, Anaheim has the 4th oldest stadium in the country. The city has done a very thorough analysis, and for structural capital upgrades, we have about $150 million that we have to come up with to make that stadium modern, to make sure that it is in good seismic condition and structurally it's sound. And that's an extraordinary cost. The city is working with Angels Baseball to look at some private opportunities to generate that capital so that there's no risk to Anaheim taxpayers, either from a bond indebtedness standpoint or from a tax standpoint, or any impact to our general fund that pays city services.
From what I've read, the city was going to lease the property in the parking lot for $1 a year, though, so that the Angels could build shops and businesses and things in that area, and the revenue from that would go to help pay that $150 million that you're talking about.
Well, the amount that we would lease it for has not been set. There was a starting point as part of truly to start negotiations. We don't have a dollar amount set yet. I know that's been widely reported because it was part of a framework document to start negotiations. I can tell you that the council is unified, that we will not agree to anything that is not in the best interest of Anaheim taxpayers.
Now, you're very sold on keeping the Angels. Everyone loves a home team. Is keeping the Angels in the best interest of the city? What if you tore the stadium down and sold it to a developer and they built something else? What about the tax revenue that comes in throughout the rest of the city, for
Thank you for asking that. First, cities don't reap all that much from property tax revenue any longer. We have the entire Platinum Triangle, which is the largest new development entitled area really in the region right now for new commercial and new residential housing. And as people who drive around Anaheim know, a lot of those parcels have remained vacant because of the economy. The citizens of Anaheim invested in Angels baseball 50 years ago for the purpose of having Major League Baseball in our city. And we're really committed to the heritage of that. We certainly want to make sure that any future agreement absolutely makes sense for our taxpayers, and we are committed to that, every member of the council. But keeping Angels and keeping that heritage of Angels baseball in Anaheim is important to our residents, and we're going to work to achieve that goal.
Okay, there's a lot of negotiating going on. What is the next step?
The next step is the council needs to hear back about where we are as far as those negotiations, what those deal points actually are, and then we'll go out and we'll communicate those with residents. We are hosting a number of public workshops. I actually called to have those workshops held. We've had several of them so far. Staff and council members are also going out to the neighborhood district councils and other organizations to really make sure that our residents have as much information as possible. But before any deal is struck, they'll have another say and another bite at the apple.
And what's the deadline? What's the decision date?
There is no decision date. We have several years right now to negotiate, but we hope to have something back for Anaheim residents to look at in the next several months.
Okay. Anaheim Mayor Pro Tem Kris, thank you so much for being here. And we're glad you were there too. I'm Leslie Leyton.